So today we're going to be talking about Luxu. The reason why I want to talk about Luxu so bad is because, of course, we know a lot of new information about this dude now. Coming off of having no information and now having as much as, of course, he is in possession of the lost page. He is in fact the traitor, and what is his goals right now? We know so much about him now that really it's time for us to have this grand talk about one of the characters that have been missing from the plot of Kingdom Hearts X altogether. Like every form of Kingdom Hearts X has been a complete blank on the sixth apprentice, but now we need to actually get into the discussion. One thing I need to say before we actually get started though is I apologize for actually misinforming you guys and saying that his name was Rushu. I wasn't trying to be disingenuous or anything like that. It was actually on behalf of course, KH Insider, which I'm not trying to say that's anything bad. I mean, a lot of things get lost in translation, and the name really isn't something to be too mad about, seeing as the name doesn't really do much. But I mean, I don't know why it was Rushu for them, and then of course it's Luxu now. On their site, it's Luxu now. And then of course we also know that Rushu actually was connected to Six. So I don't know how that's the case. I mean, it's kind of weird that that did still come up in my research about the name. But now we get to talk about pretty much Luxu. So let's go ahead and talk about him. I want to get into certain pieces of discussion about this dude, and you guys can leave your thoughts below. I'm gonna try to make the video quick, but if the video winds up getting around like 15 to 18 minutes, I'm sorry guys. I just really need to get my thoughts out about this dude, and hopefully you guys will get in on the discussion. So don't forget to leave your comments below. So the first thing I want to talk about is, first off, I feel like he's lying about his will or what his goals are the intentions of the Master of Masters. Now we know that the Master of Masters does have future sight, and in fact he does give these the book of prophecies to the foretellers, but he doesn't name Luxu a foreteller. Now, since he doesn't name Luxu a foreteller, he's trying to coat all of this up as if, like, you know, oh, I wasn't named a foreteller because, of course, blank and blank and blank. We don't know the reasons why. That's still a gap, but I wasn't named a foreteller because pretty much I'm not going to be one of you guys. I'm actually going to send you guys into descent. This was the true goal. I mean, this was the true background goal of pretty much the Master of Masters, or our master, you know, for me to come in at y'all's descent. Now he also mentions that he will obtain the answers to the secrets. Now I feel like this secret, he says he'll inherit it. Now I feel like this secret is, of course, Kingdom Hearts. And the reason why I say this secret is Kingdom Hearts is because what's the point of the Keyblade War? So that way Kingdom Hearts can be consumed into darkness. Of course, maybe even to try and pull out the Keyblade, which is the X Blade. And I feel like Luxu is trying to get this to happen because he is the person who will strike down the Master of Masters. Now, why would I make such a bold statement? Because we know that the Keyblade, the X Blade, was destroyed on the in the Keyblade graveyard. Now we also have a scene that doesn't have too much information on it, but I will go into it because I do feel like it does allude to the future more so than it does the current events, meaning the Keyblade War that's about to happen. So the player inside of this new update is transported, or he has a dream or some type of clairvoyance vision to the future, and in this future he sees three shadowed figures. I mean, not three, but multiple shadowed figures. And these shadowed figures seems to all have pretty much the organization jacket on. Now, the reason why I feel like we should talk about this is because, of course, we know that another Keyblade War is about to happen between the 13 Seekers and the 7 Guardians. Now, due to the fact that these 13 Seekers and the 7 Guardians is about to happen in the current events right now, I feel like the reason why they're showing this off now is because, of course, Kingdom Hearts X and Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to tie in together at some point, and this is how they're going to tie in. Pretty much, we're going to be seeing some type of visions of the future. We know that already inside of the Tome of Prophecies, or in some type of inscription somewhere that Xehanort has found, on that land shall darkness prevail and light expire. So we know that in the future we'll see the 13 Seekers potentially beat the 7 Guardians, that doesn't mean, of course, they're going to lose in the sense that they're gonna lose and Xehanort will get his hands on the Keyblade, Kingdom Hearts will be brought back from the realm of darkness, and he'll get his true goal. But necessarily, they'll lose on the Keyblade graveyard. On that land shall darkness prevail and light expire. Now, what's interesting to note about this whole scene is that not only is there hooded figures, but also the world seems to be covered in darkness, seeing as it pretty much looks the same way it did when you fight Xehanort in Birth by Sleep. Now, that's interesting to note because if the worlds fall into darkness, or if this world is consumed by the darkness once again, we understand why now that, of course, the 7 Guardians may fail. If the world is consumed by darkness, the player character actually gets to see these 13 Seekers, the shadowed out figures, or pretty much the figures with the hoods on and stuff like that, because you can obviously tell these are organization hoods. Now, I wonder if this has something to do with his connection. One of the biggest theories that a lot of people have had about, of course, Xehanort's new 13 Seekers of Darkness is that, of course, some of these are, in fact, the foretellers. And if some of these are in fact the foretellers, then that could explain why the PC or player character actually has this type of clairvoyance dream that actually leads him to the Keyblade graveyard in the future with the hooded figures. Now, let's talk about this in more detail, or let's look at how this is even possible. We know that Kirithi pretty much guides you on a dream that takes you into the dream world, and he does get to see pretty much the foretellers. Now, since he gets to see these foretellers and stuff in the realm of sleep, potentially, since this is the realm of sleep again, maybe he sees them, maybe it's some type of connection that he has with all of these foretellers that's letting him see them in the future with Xehanort, or I guess you could say as the 13 Seekers of Darkness. And I feel like that's where this is all coming from. That's why he has this dream. I don't feel like that was actually the war that's happening now, and let me explain why. The Keyblade graveyard already has a lot of Keyblades on them. Xehanort has explained that the Keyblades that's on the Keyblade graveyard grounds is Keyblades from the Great Keyblade War that's about to happen. So you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense that the Keyblades would be there, but this is just now happening, and all of these shadow figures have the organization code. It wouldn't make sense. So another thing we need to talk about with Luxu, we already talked about the inheriting of the secret, which I think is the X-Blade in Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that. I already talked about how I feel like he's lying, seeing as, of course, the Master of Masters did give the foretellers the Tome of Prophecies to try and make a better future. Now we need to talk about pretty much the Master of Masters himself. So we know that the Master of Masters will stop the Keyblade War. Let me explain this now. One of the things that they state inside of this whole new batch of information from this new Kingdom Hearts X update, and if you will understand what I mean by Kingdom Hearts X in Japan, it's the browser game. So with this new update, we learned that pretty much, you know, the Master of Masters is missing. Not only that, the Master of Masters is also the only person who can stop this Keyblade War from happening. In fact, I forgot which one it was. I think it was Gula. No, is it Gula? I think it is Gula. Gula mentions that, of course, there's only one person who can stop it, and that's the Master. And Kirithi explains who the Master is. So finally, they're getting into where the Master of Masters is and why isn't he here and stopping these things now. Now, I've also made it clear that pretty much the heart that's been shown off in the back cover trailer and in Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, and I guess Key itself, is in fact the heart of the Master of Masters. We know this because his sigil on the foreteller's Tome of Prophecy is the X-Blade. His sigil on his heart is also the X-Blade. There's too much of a connection there for me to believe that he doesn't have possession of the X-Blade. And also, he seems to have given all of his apprentices their Keyblades. If he gave all of his apprentices their Keyblades, Master Xehanort's Keyblade is the most ancient key. And with Master Xehanort's Keyblade being the most ancient key, this means that the 6th apprentice was more than likely his original student. And now we know that Luxu is in fact in possession of Xehanort's Keyblade. So right there, all of that stuff is already built, structured, done properly. I love every single bit of that. But the reason why I say that he's going to get cut down is because the Keyblade was destroyed in the war. So if the Keyblade was destroyed in the war, this means that he participated in the war, or he probably came in at the last minute, changed the tide, and then of course he was struck down. Now, another thing to note as well, and how, of course, Luxu impacts the future, we're finally going to get into this. I've mentioned before, time and time again, that I feel like Luxu, the sixth apprentice, is in fact the person who has taught Ericus and Xehanort. I also have stated that pretty much the master of them is the person who's in possession or possessing Xehanort. I don't know how I forgot that word, but he's also the person possessing Xehanort. And I've also stated that I feel like he also isn't this person, seeing as, of course, I feel like, I felt like before that it was potentially being foreshadowed just to actually not be the case. At first, I felt like he was going to be the one to stop the Keyblade War. But it does seem like after the descent of the Master of Masters, he did try and create his own world. He tried to keep the, I forgot what it's called, keep the structure or the format that the Master of Masters or the Foretellers had, but he's doing it on his own now. And seeing as his Keyblade is up and on display in the Kingdom Hearts E3 2015 trailer, it seems like the reason why this Keyblade is on display is because, of course, he probably doesn't use his Keyblade anymore. He probably has some type of guilt about pretty much striking down their master, or maybe even this Keyblade is possessed beyond even him. And that could also explain why he's doing the things he's doing, and when he strikes down the Master of Masters, or whatever happens to the Master of Masters in the Keyblade War, he probably puts this Keyblade away so it's never used again. Now that I've said all that, let's go ahead and flip the switch and actually say he is the person who's possessing Xehanort 100%. Now we know that Xehanort does get his hands on this Keyblade. One of the interesting things that Xehanort stated inside of Birth by Sleep is, at last, our moment is here. I swore I would survive and be there to see what awaits beyond the Keyblade War. In the E3, in the 2014 trailer, or in Dream Drop Distance, wow, I'm getting kind of mixed up here, but in Dream Drop Distance, he does mention the pieces and the scattering of the X-Blade, which is something I don't understand how he would know this. I mean, the Fairy Tail era was a long time ago, and Xehanort has exact knowledge on how many pieces was the X-Blade broken into. No way. This dude has to be possessing Xehanort. I mean, Luxu already mentions that, of course, he will inherit the secret. Inheriting the secret and stuff like that, something like this seems like it's something that has to expand beyond time. And, of course, what do we know about Xehanort and what he's doing now? We know that he's taking over younger bodies to pretty much do the same thing. And what if Luxu has done this as well? This could also be why he isn't wielding that Keyblade anymore when you think about it. He's probably not wielding it because he took over a body that couldn't probably handle the Keyblade, and maybe that's the body that he has when he's their master. So who knows, man? It's crazy to think about. Like, this dude brings so many endless possibilities to the table for the Kingdom Hearts series, and I really want to know you guys' thoughts on this. So go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I just really wanted to spill a lot of stuff out and really just try and make connections where I can with this, and at the same time get into discussion with you guys, as I said before. So don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace the heck out.